right. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of our second year program's podcast. In our podcast, we're hoping to hopefully be able to reach you in more creative ways this year. So we can get started by introducing ourselves. So my name is Paolo. I actually just graduated from UCSD with a degree in biochem and cell biology, minor in cognitive science from Revelle. And I guess my position with the second year programs is the program assistant.
Hi everyone, my name is Aida Cervantes Salazar and I am the 2XL coordinator housed in OASIS, and I am also an alumni from UCSD, yes. So alumni in the house. I graduated from Marshall College 2007 with a major in political science and minor in migration studies. So I'm really, really excited for us to explore this podcast option, to introduce ourselves, the program, and a lot of different ideas that we'll be bringing to you through this podcast.
Yes. So I guess we could get started by just giving a little background, Ida, so if you want to share with us what the program is, where it came from, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So we have, I think in recent years, just been trying to think about how we can better serve students. And so we're really excited. The Summer Bridge program will be turning 40 years. Nice. This Saturday will actually be our 40th anniversary. And so it has a very long history of being successful in supporting and helping students in their transition from high school to first year. And so that's been awesome and great, and we're really excited to celebrate. But we've also thought in recent years, like, okay, well, there's support for students their first year. What do we know that kind of happens afterwards? And so a couple years back, the 2XL program was created to help students in their second year, because we know that as second years, you go through things that are slightly different from your first year, and then will be, even more different from your third or fourth year. But it's a really critical year, second year. And so I'm really proud to be the coordinator of this second year program, or it's a 2XL program, yes. which I've been in position for about 2 years. But we in student retention and success kind of came together with the success coaches and the CAST program and thought, well, how can we reach and support more students? And so we kind of came together and made this proposal, and we're excited to roll out in this pilot year, this second year program. And so this is one of the ways in that we hope to be able to reach more students, to be able to have be able to talk to you about different things that are completely relevant to you all, or that you might be experiencing or will experience in your second year, and things that we want you to think about to help you connect and that will help you be successful, not just your second year, but beyond. And so that's a little bit, I guess.
Just a brief.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's what's super exciting, at least for me, having done the Summer Bridge program. I did have the opportunity when they were still piloting the 2XL program. I actually didn't know what it was. I thought it was like a training for Microsoft Excel, and I was like, I didn't know what it was. But I think knowing that there is programs to support second years is really beneficial, especially at least for me in my experience, not knowing what I wanted to do going into my second year and being like, okay, this is my year to figure it out, but not really having that support. So knowing that that's an option now for students to partake in, specifically in collaboration with OASIS, which is the Office of Academic Support and Instructional Services, CAST, which is the Chancellor's Associate Scholars Program, and then the Student Success Coaching.
Yes. Yeah, it's a partnership between all of us, and we're hoping to be able to reach more students through, this podcast. We'll be doing different workshops throughout the year. Tomorrow will be the what fueled
me to
be
first.
Yes. So a really great program and workshop that the success coaches are kind of leading in this first year initiative. So yeah, just different opportunities like that we want to have students just have an opportunity to connect with more faculty, with staff, with resources that we know help you be successful and feel retained here, right? Yeah. For you to have a great experience after you graduate UCSD and not just say, you know, I went to UCSD, but I succeeded at UCSD. That's our goal, I think, in everything that we do. So we're really, really excited about that.
No, definitely. And then, so again, the podcast hopefully can be catered to what you would like to see. So this is just our introductory one. It's just a rough skeleton of what it can be, but of course your feedback would be awesome. But I guess just so, because you know they might hear our voices and maybe again in the future if we want to go and do things about ourselves, just so they have a better understanding of where we're coming from, and so we're not just who's this person talking to us and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess one thing that I'd love for students to know about me is I'm a first-year Chicana graduate. And what that means is that I'm the first one in my family to go for college. I'm from a Mexican-American family, Chicana identified, and I think those things really are really important and big things about what make me who I am. And so when students, I think sometimes as staff we can seem like, oh, well, who are they? Or, you know, but really just getting students to know that I'm just, you know, it wasn't all that long ago that I was in your seat. And so I'm definitely empathetic to what students experience, what you all experience. And if ever there's any question or anything, any way that I can be of help, I hope that students know that I am more than happy to do that.
That was nice. Okay. I guess one thing about myself, I'm definitely still exploring who I am. I think I came out of college, just graduating this past June. I was I thought by now I'd know what I want to do. I thought I was going to be on that path to, because being a biochem major, I was oh, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to do research or something. But I think as I went through the motions of the classes, I was kind of figuring out I'm more invested personally in the work I've done outside of the classroom. So being a peer mentor, or being involved in student organizations or community organizations, and seeing how I can integrate what I've learned in the classroom in those kinds of settings. So I guess one thing I would want the students to know is I am still on that journey with you. I know I want to be able to support you, but also we're going in this together, I think.
That's awesome.
But just knowing that there's never a deadline to know what you're gonna do.
Exactly.
And I
that's
think,
very true.
Yeah. So I think I'm just going with the flow for now. I'm realizing more and more my interests and stuff like that. And then as well as personal identity. So for me going into college, I'm a Filipino American as well. Not as well. I'm Filipino American. And being having that kind of background and knowing that college is something that was expected of me, but being the first of my family to move off for college, or first of my siblings at least to move off for college, and learning how to be independent and go through those the growing pains of being on my own and stuff like that. So I think it's really what helped me have a better understanding of who I am, but still also learning as I go. So,
yeah, and that doesn't stop.
No.
I like to remind students that, I hope I never say I'm done learning, because even when you're 80 or whatever old, I think there's always room to grow and learn, right?
Yes,
it'll be a boring life if there isn't. So another question we had, which was one thing that students say about us or about you that you might find surprising. So is there something? I'll go first. This I've been hearing more, or I guess when students say oh, I was kind of really scared to go up to you the first time, and then later on, the more I got to know you, I thought, wow, you're so cool. And so I think I'm kind of surprised. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, but when students are I was kind of scared to go up and ask you a question.
Yeah. No, that was me, I think, so I worked as a 2XL mentor last year under Ivette. Not that I was afraid to approach her at first. It was just like, I don't know her. But she, like, I think once you get to know her, she's super nice. She's really supportive, so definitely. But I could see what that surprised me. Wow, that's hard. I think for me, when something that students say is surprising, I mean, like, I haven't been, like, staff for long, I guess. I kind of just started, but I think, I don't know, actually. I think, like, people, I guess similarly, some people, like, have told me that, well, it's kind of weird, because some people are like, oh, you look super nice, I wanted to get to know you, but I didn't know how to approach you and stuff like that. So I guess, like, similarly, like, just, like, having a facade of, like, me being, like, kind of stoic sometimes, but then other days I'm just, like, super, like, bubbly. And
well, one thing, and I don't know if this will surprise you, but, like, one thing that I really appreciate about you is that, and I've told you this before, how you're so cool under pressure. You're like such a good balance that I appreciate working with, because if things kind of go wrong, I think sometimes even for myself, I'll be like, oh my gosh, okay, what's going on? Like, how do we solve this? And you're just like, it's okay. We're going to get through this. It's fine. And maybe it's not surprising, but at least it's a good quality that you have.
Thank you. No, I think, like, I think in my head, I'm always, like, always under pressure of something, whether it be deadlines or, like, financial things. I think it's always me, like, you know, it's going to happen. I can't control it. I just got to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's worked in your favor.
Oh, thank you.
It's a good quality to have.
Okay. So I guess since this is, like, a second-year program, and we're trying to target these students to kind of share, like, our experiences, I guess, what were some of your biggest fears regarding being a second-year student, and, like, how you can share those with the students? Yeah,
so my second year, I think I was kind of... in my first year, I didn't maybe explore as much, like, different orgs or things. I did go through the Summer Bridge program, which I think was really helpful in helping me connect with people and have friendships and relationships that I was forming, but I didn't necessarily kind of go out of my way or my comfort zone to find more things to be involved in. And so my second year, I was really afraid to go outside of my comfort zone, but I started to try to tell myself, like, okay, you need to start finding out more things to be involved in, so that you can feel more connected, because I was starting to feel really kind of disconnected and kind of thinking, like, well, what am I doing here? My family's in LA. I miss them. Like, what do I really want to do career-wise? And so I think that was maybe a fear, just kind of putting myself out there.
I think for me it was very similar. Well, a little similar in that, like, I was starting to, like, branch out and try other things. I think for me as well, I was going to be on board for KP my second year for the first time. And, like, learning how to balance that with, like, school and, like, with family stresses, like, things at home, like, were not always, like, super smooth in the first years of me being away. So, like, learning to balance the different stresses. So, like, student org stresses, school stresses, personal development, like, what do I want to do? I think that was also one of the biggest fears, is, like, all right, this is my year to, like, because I'm starting upper divisions. I'm like, is this what I'm going to be doing? Is this what I enjoy? I stuck through it. I think, like, I did enjoy it. I think there were moments that I did enjoy what I was doing. But then there's also moments where, like, man, what if I tried something else? But, you know, I think that was one of my biggest fears going into it. But on the flip side, I guess, like, something I was excited was to, like, explore new things as well. Like, I think I was so isolated in, like, my communities of being like, oh, I'm just stick to this because this is what I know. I was excited to see where I could contribute my talents and whatever into other spaces.
That's awesome. One of the things that I was really excited about was just kind of being on my own. As scary as that was, I grew up with such a, like, traditional Mexican family, and being the first one and being a mujer and going out to college was such a thing that was, like, kind of a lot of times point of attention in my family, as encouraging as they were, and I think as excited as they were. I think, of course, naturally they were also kind of scared for me. So I was just super excited to try to, like, be on my own and spread my wings and kind of learn. It was, of course, scary and terrifying, but it was also so exciting to do for the first time in my life. So, one of the things that I kind of found in my second year was one of my mentors that to this day I feel like is a femtor. I've been, I think, really fortunate to have many mentors, great mentors in my life. But one of the things that I think was kind of like a game changer for me was really kind of connecting closer with Antoinette. And so Antoinette Nagai, which was the coordinator of the Summer Bridge program in OASIS at that time, was really such a great role model and femtor, and I think that I really learned a lot from her, and it really kind of changed my experience at UCSD as well. And so that was, I think, by Happer's chance, if that's a word, but just by chance, and kind of like wanting to explore more and realizing and kind of going back to OASIS, which had helped me my first year and built such support for me, and me wanting to invest in trying to help as well. I got to meet and work closely with Antoinette, and so that was one of the great things, I think, from just trying to explore more. And
I think that's what's like really awesome too, is knowing that there's always those like not older, not necessarily older, I think like people who've been in like our shoes, I guess, like in terms of age, and like have kind of know how to support us. I think like for me it was different, is that it wasn't easy for me to reach out to faculty or staff in the same way. I mean, I know I had the OASIS staff, I know I had like advisors of KP that were available for me to like reach out to, or like the cross-cultural center, or like the people that I found myself surrounded by. But at the same time I was like, so I think for me, timid to kind of like reach out and ask for help from staff or faculty. I think for me it was fear of feeling like helpless, or not helpless. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I think like for me, just like fear of
being vulnerable, right?
Vulnerable.
Say like, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, or I need help. That's a hard thing to do, especially sometimes culturally when we're kind of culturally told like you shouldn't say you don't know what you're doing or that you need help. Like it's sometimes not as it's supported, and I think that's one of, not that you're mentioning that, it's one of the biggest things I've learned, or I'm continue to learn, is that being able to use our resources or to reach out to people. And I was as guilty of that, although like I think that I did that a little too much, like not reaching out to help, like sometimes even knowing like, okay, like this is a place that I could go to get help, and then still being like, but what if they think I'm stupid, or what if that's a stupid question, or like, not reaching out as much or asking questions as much. And I always tell like my younger siblings, like, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. Just as a reminder, like if you don't say you need help, like how are people supposed to know that how to help you, because they don't know that you need help. So that's just from learning as a student myself too.
And I think that's one regret, I guess, going like from second year, is like not building those connections with the staff and faculty. But at the same time, I did find myself finding support in other ways, like from my friends. I did have like my mentors and femtors from like organizations. So I had like third and fourth years that were like there to like that were literally just in my shoes the year before. And I found that, I think, for me more helpful, just because like I was like they literally are going through the same experience that I'm going through. But I mean, at the same time, I wish I had like more like faculty and staff like to have like to reach out to. But I mean, I made it. I'm here. Definitely.
So you said your second year you started being on board. That's pretty early on. No, definitely. I think I got super excited. Like first year I was like, oh, there's all these things, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna try this. But then I found like the core group that I think for me was more
like people like-minded like myself.
Yeah.
And then I found myself being more and more invested. And then going into second year, like, I have to do board. It's my calling.
Wow.
I mean, I don't regret it at all. I think it was definitely a good learning experience. I gained a lot of leadership and personal skills to like help me be a better like student, like learning time management or like learning how to like program events even or like do different tasks that I never really gave much thought to. But I do think that having done board was a lot for sure.
Definitely.
Starting that first quarter, that was the first time I've ever failed a class too. I got a D in physics. Well, I didn't fail, quote unquote, but I didn't I could have kept going, but I had to take it again, like to be able to satisfy the requirement.
Yeah.
But, for me, it was physics because I was doing OChem with physics and physics lab and my first upper div biology and a language class. All of that with board and then like all the personal baggage from home. I was like, I can do this. I'm resilient. And of course, like I said, I didn't really reach out for help as much as I should have. So I think that was the biggest learning experience is like learning what my limits are in terms of what I can do. Quarter system is so fast. I think I forget that when I blink my eye, it's already week 3, and then again it's week 7, and already it's the next quarter, and then the next year. Yeah. The quarter system goes super fast, and I didn't take into account that I was overworking myself for sure. But I don't regret it. I think I gained a lot, but I think I wish I would have given it more thought before I had jumped into it so quick.
Yeah, or even just having an opportunity to like, so if you had connected with someone else or like a staff or something for someone to have an opportunity to tell you like, these are great things and a lot of things that you're doing, but do you have to do them all at the same time, right? Yeah. And that's sometimes you're right. Like it's something that you learn the hard way, but we hope that our students don't have to learn the hard way, or that they can take lessons from us, right? And not have to learn it for themselves. Because I think that's being involved in extracurriculars is so important, and being involved in. I was also a part of the SAC community as a student. I was really involved in MECHA, and I feel like that was my community and my home base that kind of really helped support me in my undergrad years, and again where I built a lot of my friendships and relationships with other people and other students, but doing something like if you're all on board and like you said, doing a full load of 5 classes, and then not all classes are the same, but like really hard classes, it's like that's not you're not like setting yourself up to do great. And those are hard lessons to learn, but and those are definitely things that we want our students to learn. Like there's summer sessions if you have to take certain class or certain ways that you can balance a schedule, and think about how you structure classes, especially like if you're going to be doing extracurriculars or you have a job or you have things like that. So to kind of get a larger picture of kind of what's going on, that's going to help you be successful.
And that's like a good like piece of advice too, is like learning like priorities of like what you need to do in a certain time frame, I guess. Like I think for me, I know like summer session isn't always an option for some students, like in terms of financially or like housing and stuff like that. But so I guess like that, like for me having that mentality, knowing, all right, so during the school year, this is what I would like to accomplish. And then like during my summers when I take that break and stuff, or explore different things. I think that was what for me, my sense of time was off. I was like, everything has to be done right now, and right away. But
you were really excited, like you said.
Yeah, super excited. But I mean, I'm still excited. Life's exciting. But it's definitely something I had to learn the hard way for sure.
Yeah. And again, sometimes we just learn when you're first, like first generation, first in your family, first to do anything. And we continue to be first, right? If you go into grad school, you're first grad student. When you're a professional, you're first to be professional. Like we continue to learn things. Sometimes the hard way when you're first. But again, this is why it's really important to connect, right? Connect, ask questions, and to be able to reach out to the resources out there.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Definitely.
advising and all these different things that are going to help us make the best decisions for ourselves. Because I'm a true believer of that too. You know, you kind of have to make those decisions yourself, but you want to make the best educated decision with all the information that you have. And that's all we can do for you.
Yeah.
So, really good, I think, reflection we're having.
And I think that's something, too, is that important, is that we're not just reflecting just to talk about ourselves all the time. I think at least for me, I would hope it sparks in the students listening, or you listening, whoever's listening, that you think about these things, like going into your second year, like, what is it that's important to you? What do you think your priorities are right now? Are you asking for help when you need it? And things like that. So I think going into, it's week 5 of your of your first quarter of second year. You've already made it through that first hump, I guess, of the first quarter. What are you going to do for yourself for the rest of the year, for the rest of the quarter at least, to continue to be on this good trajectory of an onward success, so that as you leave your second year, you don't leave with regrets or like with, failures or whatever it is. Because failures, it might happen, but I think how are you going to come back from it and learn from these experiences?
Yeah. And that we want to avoid. Because, sometimes failure isn't really failure if you learn from it, right? It's all about also how you think about it. But our point is that we don't want you to have to learn the hard way and to try to avoid some unnecessary mistakes that you don't necessarily have to do or have to go through. I remember the first time that I got a failing grade. No one had really told me or explained to me like dropping classes or dropping with a W or different options. And also, like, I didn't necessarily ask for help. I was just too embarrassed. I knew I was failing, I think, that class from the very beginning. And then I kind of just was like, if I don't think about it, it's not happening. And that is so the wrong mentality to have. So in the end, when I got that grade, it was like, afterwards, it's like, wait, I could have taken a W, or there's so many different options or things or interventions that could happen in different points of the quarter for me. But again, I didn't ask for help. And so just, those are some of the things that we hope that we can get you to reflect or to think about if you find yourself in certain situations, or even if you're not in those situations, if you're doing absolutely great and fabulous, which we hope you are, but that there's always room for, like, if you have questions or anything, or if you want to visit certain resources or offices or career services or study abroad or research opportunities or internships, that you're not too afraid or embarrassed or whatever it is that keeps you from trying or getting more informed about those options for yourself. And so that's kind of what we hope to get you to think about, and we'll be hoping that you think about throughout the year and throughout these podcasts that we'll be bringing to you.
And that's what's great too. There's like a lot of support systems, like whether that be like the Learning Commons for like extra outside teaching, or like OASIS workshops, or like definitely other interventions, I guess, to help you like succeed.
College advising, major advising, visiting your mentors. For To Excel, you have your mentors that you meet with quarterly. For success coaching as well, and CASP, and so there's so many different and the resource centers, so many different places and resources that you have available to you, and that we just want you to access as a student. So so we're kind of getting close to, I guess, the end of our first podcast. We hope that we've been having you think about some good stuff, but we want to close it off with just kind of what would be a piece of advice that you would give your second year self, if you could talk to your second year self.
All right. Well, I'm a sit down pal, little second year pal. Be like, all right, little Paolo. I know you're excited. No, okay. I think definitely word of advice is to enjoy the moment. Definitely, I think for me, I was so focused on things that might happen like the next quarter, like things like, I think, which was good, I was like forward thinking, but at the same time, like forgetting to like sometimes take a breath for myself and like remember college is gonna happen like so quick. And like second year, I honestly, there's only certain moments of second year I remember. It was such a blur. So just remembering to like take it slow, like take it easy. There's a lot that goes into like a quarter system, like having to keep up with 10-week classes and stuff like that. So just remembering to like take a breath, take care of myself. And for me, like family is like something that's really important to me. So like remembering to check in with family and like call like every so often, if not now it's every day because that's what it's turned into. But I think remembering to check in not only with like myself but also like the people I care about. So
that's so important. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
If I could give myself one piece of advice, second year I'd say, well, first off, you're not alone. So, in the moments where I felt the most challenged or scared or lonely, like was not alone in that. And so there's many students that experience those kind of feelings. So yeah, just like letting myself know I'm not alone in this process. But also like, don't be so afraid to ask for help, girl. Yeah, like don't be afraid to just like ask for help and be vulnerable in saying I need help or I don't know the answer to everything. 'Cause that's really hard. That was really hard for me. And I just think that there were so many things that would have gone better for myself had I allowed myself to do those things. Ask for help, let myself explore more different options, not be afraid to think about learning more about like studying abroad and making that a reality for myself. Like I just really thought like I can't afford that or I can't do that or my parents will never let me or like don't be so afraid. Don't be so afraid. Give yourself a chance. And also just continue to kick ass.
Yes, do the things. Do
the things that are making you passionate and excited about, like continue going that way because it's going to lead to great things. So yeah.
Right, that was awesome. Well, I think closing it off, definitely we want to leave you with some reflection to kind of go into this week and next week, the rest of the weeks, with some, thoughts and some things that you can reflect on for yourselves. So questions like asking yourself, like, what do you want to become? Like, college is a really good time to explore your passions, what you're good at, but also balancing that with like what you want to do. So I think thinking about what you want to be or what you want to become, things like your career and like life, what do you see for yourself? I think I remember second year like going to a workshop where they're like, all right, so write out like a list of things you must have, things you don't need, or like from right now, and how that'll translate to like yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now, like almost like a 1, 5, 10 like year plan for myself. And like it was really helpful because I was like, oh, I see myself having a place to live, like financially independent, things like that. So like, where do you see yourselves in your second year? Where do you see yourselves going beyond this year and stuff like that?
Yeah, and what experiences do you want to gain? So from the things that you're doing, what are you gaining from them? And a lot of times I talk to students too that are like, I want to do this, this, and that, and I'm doing this, and then I'm doing that, and like, okay, but like, what are you gaining from it? What skills are you seeing yourself getting from that? Or great things that you're seeing yourself, like how are you seeing yourself contributing? I think that's really important for us to remember to contribute and to give back, because that's really what helps us all move forward. But yeah, like what are the outcomes? Like what do you see yourself getting from this, whether it's skills, soft skills, or relationships, or relationship building, leadership building, stuff like that. And then also just to think about like what makes sense, what makes sense for you as far as thinking again, asking you sometimes to take a step back and reflect on like if you're you're wanting to be involved in a lot of extracurriculars and you're also having a full load of classes, like what's going to make sense for you, not just this quarter but maybe this year. And so Yeah, I've had a lot of fun, and thanks. I think this is a great first podcast, and we hope that you join us for future podcasts. And we.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I just wanted to. Oh no, no, I think like definitely like this is definitely a good platform for us to like bring up a lot of things, and I personally would hope that it becomes an interactive space where you interact with us. There is the second year program's email that you can send us, you know, your comments, your concerns, any questions you have. Like we're hoping to make this for you, like centered around your experience, because obviously like my experience as a second year is different than yours right now. So hopefully you're willing to like share with us. So you can email syp.ucsd@gmail.com. Again, that's syp.ucsd@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, concerns, if you want to see some things from these podcasts, I'm hoping to cater it to what you would like.
Yeah. So thank you all, and we'll see you soon.
Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of the Second Year Programs podcast. Just a reminder that our welcome event will be next Friday of week 7, on November 17th, anytime from 12 to 2 p.m. Come through to Center Hall, 3rd floor at OASIS. There will be some refreshments and some opportunities to meet the staff and other people in the program. Hope to see you there.